The day they took my brother out of his own auto body shop, my mother looked at me like I was the criminal, not Marcus, not the son who had built his success on fake claims and stolen names. Me. I was sitting in my car across the street when the state agents walked him out between them. His company shirt was still tucked in. His hair was still neat. He still looked like the man my mother had spent years calling her proof that our father's dreams had survived. Then my mother arrived. She parked half on the curb and ran toward the shop with one hand pressed to her chest. She saw Marcus first, then the agents, then the boxes of records being carried out of the office. Then she saw me. For 1 second, her face changed. It was not anger. It was not sadness. It was worse. It was the look of a woman realizing the daughter she had ignored had been right all along. And still, she turned away from me. She went to Marcus. She wrapped her arm around him like he was a wounded boy, not a grown man who had hurt people for money. That was the moment I understood something I should have known years earlier. Sometimes telling the truth does not bring your family back. Sometimes it only shows you who they were always going to choose. It started with a flag on my screen. I was working late in the Special Investigations Unit, the way I usually did when the office was quiet and nobody came by to ask useless questions. The cleaning crew had already passed through. The lights above me buzzed softly. My computer screen was the only bright thing left on the floor. I was running a fraud pattern review. Most people think fraud looks dramatic. It does not. Fraud usually looks boring: a repeated address, a repeated phone number, a repair photo taken in the wrong place, a bank account that appears too often, a name that shows up where it should not. That night, the system flagged a shell company. I leaned closer to the screen. The company address was my mother's house. The phone number belonged to my brother. I stared at it for a long time. The company name was simple. MT Auto Holdings, Marcus Torres. My brother had used his own initials. That was either careless or arrogant. Knowing Marcus, it was both. I picked up my phone and called my mother. She answered with sleep in her voice. "Rina, everything okay?" "I'm fine," I said, "just leaving work." "Hey, does Marcus still have the same phone number?" "Of course," she said. "You know your brother, he hates changing anything." She repeated the number. It matched the screen. Then she started talking about him the way she always did. Marcus was thinking of opening another shop. Marcus was working so hard. Marcus was carrying the family name. Marcus was exactly the kind of son my father would have been proud of. I looked at the shell company record. "Good for him," I said. After we hung up, I sat there in the empty office and listened to the air system hum. I wanted the screen to be wrong. I wanted the address to be a mistake. I wanted the phone number to belong to someone else. But I had been doing this work too long. The first rule of investigations is simple. The record does not care who you love. I printed the report and locked it in my drawer. Then I drove home without turning on the radio. The next morning, I came in early. I told myself I was only checking. I told myself a shell company at my mother's address did not automatically mean Marcus had done anything. I told myself a lot of things because that is what people do when the truth is too close to home. Then I started pulling claims. One claim led to another, then another, then another. Different names, different accidents, different vehicles, but the same repair shops. Marcus's shops, a shop on Paxton Street, another across town. Another newer location he bragged about at dinner like he had built an empire with clean hands. The claims looked normal if you saw them one at a time. But fraud is not meant to be seen one at a time. It is meant to hide in pieces. So I put the pieces together. Rear-end crashes that sounded too similar. Passengers with injuries that appeared out of nowhere. Repair estimates that looked inflated. Damage photos that did not match the accident reports. The same vehicle appearing in more than one claim under different names. Settlement money moving into accounts connected to the shell company. And under all of it, Marcus. My brother had not made one mistake. He had built a machine that turned fake accidents into real money. I sat back in my chair and felt cold. The office was warm, but my hands were cold. That had always happened to me when I found something bad. My body went quiet. My face went still. My mind started sorting. My mother used to say I looked cold when I worked. Marcus used to laugh and say, "That's Rina, always looking for something wrong." Maybe he was right, but some things are wrong whether you look or not. I need to tell you about my brother. Not the version my mother tells, not the golden son, not the smiling business owner, not the man who shows up to family dinner in a good watch and talks like success is something he invented. The real Marcus, or at least the one I finally saw. He was older than me. When our father died, Marcus became the center of my mother's world. She said he was the man of the house now. She said he had big dreams. She said he would do something important one day. She said it so often that we all started treating it like a fact. I was just the little sister. Quiet. Useful, responsible, easy to overlook. Marcus got the family hope. I got the family chores. I learned early not to ask for much. I worked through school. I paid for what I needed. I built my life one shift and one bill at a time. When Marcus opened his first auto body shop, I helped set up folding chairs for the grand opening. My mother cooked enough food for half the neighborhood. She stood near the front door and told everyone my father would have cried if he had seen that day. Marcus smiled. People clapped. I clapped too. That is the part that still hurts. I was proud of him. I really was. I did not know then that some of that shine came from money that did not belong to him. I started in insurance as a claims adjuster. I reviewed accidents. I read police reports. I looked at photos of dents, broken lights, bent frames, cracked bumpers. It was not exciting work, but I was good at it. I noticed small things. A report said the car was hit on the left, but the photos showed damage on the right. A claimant described a crash in words that sounded copied from another file. A repair invoice looked too perfect, like someone had written it for an audience. Eventually, I moved into special investigations. That was when I realized I had a strange gift. I could see lies in paperwork. Not always at first, but if I stayed with it long enough, patterns started talking. Before all this happened, I had quietly registered my own investigation company, Torres Investigation Group. I did it late one night when I could not sleep. I told myself it was just a backup plan. A someday thing, a piece of paper in a drawer, no office, no clients, no website, just a name, my name. At the time, I did not understand why I needed it so badly. Later, I did. Some part of me had been preparing to stand alone long before my family gave me a reason. After the flag appeared, I kept building the case. I did not rush. I could not afford to. This was my brother. If I was wrong, I would destroy my family for nothing. If I was right, the truth would destroy it anyway. I pulled full claim files, not summaries. I looked at photos, bank trails, repair estimates, police reports, vehicle records, payment histories. The pattern got uglier the longer I looked. Marcus's shops did real repairs. That was part of what made it work. Real customers came in every day. Real damage got fixed. Real invoices went out, but mixed inside the real business was another business. Fake accidents, fake injuries, inflated repairs, repeated vehicles. Money routed through empty auto holdings, then moved again. He had hidden lies inside something real. That is always the hardest kind of lie to catch. One file stayed with me more than the others. A woman named Anna Chen had been in a real crash. She had real pain. She needed treatment and time off work. But when she filed her insurance claim, it was denied because the system thought her policy had already been used. It had, not by her. A fake claim had hit first, and it traced back to Marcus's operation. Because of that, Anna spent months fighting for help that should have been hers. She lost work. She fell behind. Her little boy kept asking why she could not pick him up anymore. That file changed the case for me. Before Anna, I was looking at fraud. After Anna, I was looking at damage, real damage. The kind no spreadsheet can fully show. Then Marcus called me. His voice was cheerful, too cheerful. "You're working late again," he said. "So are you." "Business is good," he said. "Heard you've been pulling a lot of files at work." My stomach tightened. Someone had told him. "Normal review stuff," I said. He laughed softly. "You know, little sister, sometimes people look too closely and find things they were not looking for." I stared at the wall. Good advice, I said. I'll remember that. After we hung up, I sat very still. Marcus knew I was looking. He did not know how much I had found. But now he was watching me too. That week, I built a physical binder. I did not trust everything to the company system anymore. I printed claim reports, business filings, payment trails, photos, notes, repair estimates, anything that showed the pattern clearly. I worked from my apartment at night, sitting at my small kitchen table with cold coffee and pages spread around me. On one side of the table was the binder that could destroy Marcus. On the other side was the certificate for my own company. Torres Investigation Group. I remember looking at both and thinking how strange it was. One Torres company was created to hide a fraud. The other might exist because of it. On Sunday, I went to dinner at my mother's house. Her home still smelled like sofrito and warm rice. The front porch still needed paint. My father's empty chair was still set at the table, like grief had become part of the furniture. Marcus was already there. He hugged me like nothing had happened. "There she is," he said, "the hardest working woman in insurance." My mother kissed my cheek and told me I looked tired. Then we sat down. Marcus talked about expansion. Another location, more employees, bigger plans. My mother looked at him like he was sunlight. "Your father would be so proud," she said. I took a bite of food and tasted nothing. Then Marcus turned to me. "So, Rina," he said, "how's that big review going at work?" His tone was light, his eyes were not. "It's going," I said. "You were always thorough," he said, "always looking for patterns." A silence settled over the table, not long, but long enough. My mother looked between us, then quickly asked Marcus about his new shop. That was how it always went. Marcus made the room uncomfortable. My mother protected him from it. After dinner, she pulled me into the kitchen. I was drying a pan that was already dry. "Your brother is under a lot of pressure," she said. "I know. He has employees, bills, plans. People depend on him. That is a lot of responsibility." She gave me that soft look mothers use when they think they are being kind. "I hope I am wrong, Mija, but you have seemed cold toward him lately." I kept my eyes on the pan. "He is your brother," she said. "He loves you. He has always looked out for you." No, I thought. He had always been looked at. That was different. My mother continued. "I know it must be hard sometimes, watching him succeed while you are still finding your way." I stopped drying. "What does that mean?" She sighed. "Marcus always had big dreams. You were always more careful, more quiet. And sometimes, when one child rises faster, the other child feels left behind." I looked at her. She lowered her voice. "Do not let jealousy turn you against your brother." There it was, jealousy. She said it gently. That made it worse. She was not trying to hurt me. She believed it. In her story, Marcus was the brave son building the family name, and I was the bitter daughter waiting for him to fall. "I'm not jealous of Marcus," I said. "Of course not," she said, patting my arm. "Just think about what I said." I finished the dishes. I hugged her goodbye. I waved to Marcus through the window. Then I drove home and sat on my couch in the dark, jealous. Of a man who had used our mother's house to hide a shell company, jealous. Of a man who had turned fake accidents into real money, jealous. Of a man who had hurt strangers and smiled through dinner. The word sat in my chest like a stone. The next morning, Marcus made the mistake that ended him. A new claim entered the system. At first, it looked routine. A minor crash, a repair estimate, photos, a police report. Then I saw the vehicle owner. Marcus, his own truck, not a shell company, not someone else's name, his personal vehicle. The repair estimate had been created before the accident supposedly happened. And in the photos, the reflection in the truck window showed the sign of Marcus's own shop. I leaned back in my chair. For a moment, I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because after all the layering, all the shell accounts, all the careful movement of money, he had finally done what greedy people always do. He got comfortable. Then he got stupid. The case was complete. I printed the file and added it to the binder. Then I called the state insurance fraud office. The investigator I met was named David Park. He was calm, careful, and hard to read. He sat across from me in a plain government conference room and turned every page of my binder slowly. He did not rush. He did not interrupt. When he finished, he closed the binder and looked at me. "This is one of the cleanest referrals I have seen in a long time," he said. I did not know what to say. He tapped the binder. "The company record, the claim trail, the payment movement, the vehicle claim. That last one is the kind of mistake prosecutors love." "He filed on his own truck," I said. David shook his head. "They always get sloppy eventually." Then he asked the question I had been waiting for. "Your brother?" "Yes." "Does your family know?" "My mother thinks I am jealous of his success." His face did not change much, but something in his eyes did. He had probably heard every version of family betrayal, but even he understood that one. "Once I open this file," he said, "there is no soft ending. Warrants, prosecutors, charges. Your brother will face consequences. Your family may not stand with you. Can you live with that?" I thought about my mother's kitchen, Marcus's warning, Anna Chen's denied claim, her little boy asking why his mother could not lift him. "Yes," I said, "I can live with it." David said he would need someone who could show the human cost. Not just files, not just numbers, a person I knew who to call. Anna Chen met me in a quiet coffee shop. She looked tired in a way sleep does not fix. She held her cup with both hands even though the room was warm. I told her what I had found, not everything, enough. When I finished, she stared down at her coffee. "I thought it was my fault," she said. Her voice was small. "They kept telling me the claim was already used. I thought I filled something out wrong. I called again and again. Every time, they made me feel like I was the problem." She swallowed hard. "I lost my job because I could not get treatment. My son was little. He kept asking why I could not pick him up anymore." I felt something twist inside me. "Your claim was real," I said. "The one that blocked it was fake. My brother filed it." She looked at me. "Your brother?" "Yes." "Is that why you're doing this?" "Yes." She nodded slowly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. "My denial letters, my call notes, my employer's letter, everything I saved." Her hands were steady when she gave it to me, steadier than mine. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Your story." "I'll tell it," she said. That was the moment I stopped feeling alone. Before the warrant, I went to see Marcus. I did not call ahead. I walked into his shop like a customer. The place smelled like motor oil, rubber, and cheap pine air freshener. A young guy at the desk looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Marcus," I said. "I'm his sister." Marcus came out wearing a shirt with his company logo on it. He smiled like we were still at dinner. "Rina, this is a surprise." He brought me into his office and closed the door. "What's going on?" I did not sit. I filed the referral. His smile stayed for a second, then it disappeared. "What referral?" "The one tied to MT Auto Holdings. The shell company, the fake claims, your truck." His face went still. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know the address. I know the accounts. I know how the money moved. I know the repair estimate was written before the accident. I know your shop sign is reflected in the photos." Outside the office, a tool whined and stopped. Marcus leaned back. "You're making a mistake." "No. This is family business." "It stopped being family business when you used Mom's house." His eyes hardened. "You don't understand how insurance works. Those companies steal from people every day. They deny real claims. They make people fight for every dollar. I just leveled the field." "Anna Chen," I said. He blinked. "Who?" "A single mother with a real injury. Her claim was denied because your fake one hit first. She lost work. She could not pick up her little boy because she could not afford treatment. That is what your level field did." For the first time, he looked annoyed. Not guilty, annoyed, like I had brought up something inconvenient. "You've been busy," he said. "I do pattern recognition, it's what I'm good at." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he smiled a little. It was not a kind smile. "If you do this, Mom will never forgive you." I said nothing. "She will see this as you destroying the family. She will choose me. She already chooses me. You have known that since you were a kid." The words hit exactly where he meant them to, but I did not move. "And your job," he said. "You think they'll thank you. Your own brother ran claims through your company's system for years. I could say you helped me. I could say you told me how to avoid detection." "I did not help you." "I know that, you know that. But what people know, and what they can prove are different things." He was trying to scare me, and the worst part was he knew which fear to use, the fear that I would lose my mother, the fear that I would lose my job, the fear that the truth would cost me more than the lie cost him. "I already told my supervisor," I said. His face changed. "I told her everything, the shell company, the claims, the fact that you are my brother. I documented every file I pulled, every search, every step." He had nothing to say, so I said the one thing I had come to say. "Your mistake was not the truck. Your mistake was thinking I was still the little sister who would stay quiet to keep the peace." Then I walked out. Not long after, the state came. I was parked across the street from the shop when the investigators arrived. No sirens, no shouting, just unmarked cars pulling into the lot on an ordinary morning. That made it worse somehow. A dramatic ending would have felt less real. Agents stepped out and went inside. Employees came out confused. A customer was told to leave. Boxes followed, computers, files, records, then Marcus. He walked out between two agents with his hands restrained in front of him. His company shirt was still neat. His face was blank, like he was watching someone else's life fall apart. They put him in the back of a car. The door closed, and the man my mother called her proudest achievement was driven away from the business he had built on lies. Then my mother pulled up. She got out fast and looked around like the world had tilted. The shop, the agents, the employees, the boxes, then Marcus, then me across the street, our eyes met. I wanted her to walk toward me just once. I wanted her to ask if I was okay. I wanted her to see that I was not happy, that I was not jealous, that I was not trying to win. I was just the person who had found the truth, but she turned away. She went to Marcus. Later, after he was released while the case moved forward, I watched her help him into her car. Her hand rested on his back. She guided him like he was fragile. She did not look at me again. I stayed in my car until the lot was almost empty. The state had what it needed, but I had lost something no investigation could restore. The news spread quickly. Local business owner, insurance fraud, closed shops, seized records, charges. My name was not printed, but people knew. They always know enough. Marcus took a deal. He avoided prison, but he lost the shops. He had to pay back what he stole. He could not work in the same field the way he used to. The business signs came down one by one. My mother called me once. "You could have talked to us first," she said. "Would it have changed anything?" She did not answer. "Your brother made mistakes. He hurt people. He is still your brother." "I know who he is, Ma." Her voice cracked. "I don't think any of us do." Then she hung up. She did not call again. At work, things were not clean either. My supervisor called me into her office after the case became public. She looked tired before she even spoke. "The regional office wants you to take leave," she said, "to let things settle." That is how they are saying it. They want me gone. She did not deny it. "You caught something that ran through our system for a long time," she said. "Some people upstairs are asking why we did not catch it earlier. It is easier for them if the person who did catch it is not sitting in the building." I understood. Systems love the truth after it becomes official. Before that, they mostly fear the person carrying it. "What would you do?" I asked. She leaned back in her chair. "If I had just built a case this strong," she said, "I would not wait in a cubicle for people who are embarrassed by my competence." That was the kindest thing anyone had said to me in weeks. I took the leave. For the first few days, I did almost nothing. I slept too much, ate whatever was left in my fridge, ignored the phone, stared at the ceiling. Then one morning, I opened the drawer and pulled out the certificate for Torres' investigation group. I put it on the kitchen table. I looked at my name, not Marcus's. Mine. Then I called a small insurance carrier that had reached out after the story broke. They needed outside help reviewing suspicious claims. I told them I was available. They sent me work. Then another company called, then another. The cases were smaller than what I had handled before. Staged falls, inflated property damage, suspicious repairs, but they were mine. Every report carried my name. Not Mid-Atlantic, not my brother's. Mine. Soon I leased a small office downtown. Nothing fancy. 2 rooms in an older brick building. One window where if I stood in the right spot I could see the river between the rooftops. I bought a desk, a filing cabinet, a coffee maker that made terrible coffee but belonged to me. Then I hung my company certificate on the wall. The day I moved in, I drove past the old Torres auto body on Paxton Street. The building was empty. The sign was gone. A lease banner hung in the window. You could still see the faded outline where the name used to be, Torres Auto Body. I pulled over and sat there with the engine running. I remembered the grand opening. The folding chairs, my mother's food, Marcus shaking hands, the neighbors smiling. My mother saying my father would have been proud. I had believed it then. Maybe we all had. Now the chairs were gone. The sign was gone. The golden sun was gone too, replaced by a man working a smaller job under rules he could not talk his way around. My mother told a cousin she had lost both children. I did not correct her. Maybe in her way she had. Some things cannot be fixed. Some relationships do not recover. That is not always failure. Sometimes it is just truth finishing its work. I looked at the empty building one last time. I did not feel satisfied. Satisfaction would mean I was glad. I was not glad. I was not sad either. I felt something quieter. The feeling of a pattern finally completing. The numbers had stopped arguing. The lie had run out of road. I put the car in drive and did not look back. That evening I stayed late at my new office. There were files on my desk, client notes, a report due soon, a stack of folders I had bought myself because I liked the color and nobody could tell me not to. The office smelled like paper, coffee, and fresh paint. Outside, the river had gone dark. Streetlights came on one by one. I stood by the window and thought about what David Park once told me. Fraud usually gets solved because someone gets sloppy. Greed makes people stupid. My brother got greedy, then careless, and I was there to see it. Not because I hated him, not because I wanted to destroy him, not because I was jealous, but because I had learned to look at things as they were, not as my mother needed them to be. Not as Marcus pretended they were, as they were. Before I left, I took a small sticky note from my desk and wrote 2 words on it. Look closely. I placed it under my company certificate. Then I locked the office door. I walked down the stairs, stepped outside, and felt the warm evening air on my face. A little while ago, I had been alone in someone else's office, staring at my brother's name on the screen and wondering what the truth would cost me. Now I had a key to my own door. And this time, nobody else held a copy.